when I'm working out and stuff. I like being around people and like seeing different things. I got a treadmill in my garage, and my girl had bought me the treadmill for my birthday. She's like, "You never use it." She was like, "I always buy you stuff for your birthday and stuff. You never use it." So I don't really like running by myself. Like just looking at people and just looking at different things like that. Like that's what I like. I like being around people.
For Errol Spence Jr., boxing may be the only thing that feels larger than life. Outside the ring, he moves differently. No massive entourage, no flashy lifestyle, no desperate need for attention. He carries himself like an ordinary man, yet somehow everything about him still feels uncommon and unique.
Some people like walk up to me and want to take a picture and things like that. They'll be like, "What's up?" Because I've been coming up for a while. People ask me if my Errol Spence. It depends on who it is. But sometimes if I don't feel like being bothered, I'll be like, "Nah." And they be like, "Man, you look just like him." I'll be like, "Yeah, I get that all the time." I understand I'm not a regular person. People can regularly see me at Walmart or Costco's or whatever. They can see me, you know, with my family, walking, buying groceries, shopping, whatever. You know, I'm not one of those guys, you know, come in at a certain time or, you know, tell the store owner I'm coming in so they can shut the place down or whatever, you know. I like being amongst people and just, you know, being a regular person.
This comeback isn't built on noise. It's built on purpose, and that's exactly what makes Errol Spence Jr. so dangerous right now. 3 years away from the ring might seem like a warning sign to many, but Spence sees it differently. For him, the time away wasn't lost. It was necessary recovery, a chance to rebuild both body and mind. Surviving a life-changing Ferrari crash has a way of reshaping a man's perspective, forcing him to reevaluate everything. But for Errol Spence Jr., no matter how difficult the setback, the mission remains unchanged. The journey must continue, and the destination still lies ahead.
Sometimes, you know, I'll be like, "Why am I doing this?" But I hit the bag in the gym and like my tendons hurting, his body, neck hurting. I can't explain it. Just something in me, just like, you know, I survived for a reason. I don't want my kids growing up think it's okay to quit. My arsenal just start changing. I start getting better and showing different skill sets and different abilities that I didn't have before. I seen the results, and I'm beating guys up that I was getting beat up by in sparring. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to keep working out with him. And I didn't tell him he had to pay me. He just stopped paying me because I stopped asking for it. If anybody should get MVP for my career, it should be my dad, because he basically guided me to the directions I need to go, even with Derrick James, to where I need to be to become, you know, who I am now. I'm going to give myself credit too, because I listen.
He stepped away from the spotlight and focused on life beyond boxing, spending time with family, traveling, clearing his mind, and distancing himself from the constant pressure that surrounds elite fighters. For Errol Spence Jr., that break wasn't weakness. It was a complete reset. What makes it even more interesting is that he never rushed back searching for attention or validation. He waited until the hunger to compete returned naturally, without pressure or outside influence, revealing a mindset built on patience, clarity, and genuine purpose.
Growing up, never touched any horses, never touched a goat, chicken, cows, nothing like that. Got any more bird food? As a kid, that was never in my plans. Living in a high rise, you know, basically in the uptown area, in the middle of everything. Like, it's clubs, bars, basically the nightlife is like right there. The whole switch definitely was something that I needed and I wanted. It was like 2 in the morning. I was looking on Zillow. Man, I want that home. We'll feed him 5 to 6 times a day. Sometimes more. Drinking too fast. My dad, he was like, "You sure you want to live here? Like, just a lot of work." I was like, "Yeah, I want to live here."
Now that training camp is underway, Errol Spence Jr. isn't taking the easy route. Instead of easing back into competition, he's diving straight into a dangerous challenge against Tim Tszyu, a clear statement that if he's returning at full force. No warm-up fights, no safe comeback, just immediate pressure at the highest level. Spence also believes ring rust begins in the mind before the body. In his view, if a fighter is sparring sharply, thinking clearly, and reacting instinctively in camp, then the actual fight simply becomes an extension of that preparation. It sounds simple on paper, but inside the ring, that philosophy is tested in the most brutal way possible.
This is my take on a Panda Express dish. Just healthy. It's like the pepper chicken, but we're gonna use ground turkey. It'll make him feel satiated throughout the day. Because we're at a calorie deficit, we don't want him feeling hungry all day. There's just little tricks, you know.
As Spence takes aim at pound-for-pound supremacy, a nutritionist fuels even loftier ambitions. Every bite matters, because every pound counts.
Weight always been an issue for me, you know. As I got older, you know, it gets a lot harder, so yeah, it's been a real serious issue for me.
In between each meal, he's gotta drink 32 ounces of fluid. He's like, so I gotta do this every time? I'm like, yeah.
And the old school is the whole not drinking water, you know, eating less. You know, you're always hungry, you're always thirsty, and then that, you know, affects your mood.
Well, trick to cooking healthy is...
Now add Ronnie Shields to the equation, a trainer known for discipline, structure, and years of elite-level experience. Suddenly, this isn't a fighter simply trying to return. It's a fighter rebuilding with a clear purpose and calculated direction. Nobody doubts whether Errol Spence Jr. can still fight at the highest level. The real mystery is which version of him will appear on fight night. Because if this refreshed and mentally focused Spence is truly as sharp as he claims, then Tim Tszyu won't just be facing a comeback story. He'll be facing a fighter who had time to recover, evolve, and sharpen himself without the damage, burnout, and distractions that usually consume elite boxers. And in boxing, unpredictability can become the most dangerous weapon of all. Just when it seemed like Errol Spence Jr. had returned with a calmer and more reflective mindset about life beyond boxing, the entire tone suddenly changed. In the middle of the interview, that peaceful energy disappeared and a far more intense side emerged. Not recovery mode anymore, but full war mode. You could instantly feel the shift. The same fighter who had been speaking about mental resets and personal growth was now explaining that he chose Tim Tszyu because he genuinely wanted the challenge, not because he needed it. That mentality alone makes him dangerous. And when Spence dismissed the idea of handshakes before the fight due to the tension and subtle disrespect between them, it became clear this wasn't manufactured drama or fake promotion. The rivalry had become personal enough to sharpen his focus, yet controlled enough to keep his mind locked in on the mission. Errol Spence Jr. isn't screaming for attention or trying to sell the fight with loud trash talk. Instead, he speaks with a calm intensity, making it clear that respect can wait until after the battle because right now his mindset is focused entirely on destruction. That quiet confidence feels even colder than aggressive hype. What also stands out is how differently he approaches this comeback. There are no dramatic claims about being the greatest version of himself, no exaggerated promises, just a simple message to watch on fight night, almost as if he's intentionally keeping something hidden. More importantly, he never rushed his return or allowed outside pressure to force the decision. He waited patiently until his own mind repeatedly told him it was time, and only then did he fully commit to stepping back into the ring.
Sometimes I thought it was time to come back, and then, you know, I wake up the next day and be like, I'm good. You know, it was a time where I was just like, I'm coming back, and then I woke up the next day, felt like I'm gonna come back, and I woke up the next day, felt like I'm gonna come back. So, you know, it's time to come back. You know, everybody kept asking me when I'm coming back, and I tell my loved ones I come back. You know, when they're ready. I know when I'm ready to come back, or if I want to come back.
That doesn't sound like ring rust. It sounds like self-awareness. But at the same time, nobody should mistake this comeback for an easy return because Tim Tszyu is far from a simple welcome-back opponent. He represents a serious challenge on his own turf, in front of his own crowd. Even Errol Spence Jr. understands the situation clearly. He knows he's walking into hostile territory, not to participate, but to take something away. And that's where the story becomes truly fascinating. When a fighter openly admits he struggled mentally but found a way through those battles, It usually leads to one of two outcomes. Either a more complete and evolved version emerges, or the fighter faces the toughest test of his career. There's rarely anything in between. Suddenly, what once felt like a calm comeback story is now filled with real pressure, real danger, and real consequences. And that's exactly when boxing becomes impossible to predict.
His back part, so I don't see why we gotta shake hands and hug and all that. We can do that after the fight. And I told him that. I said, I'll hug you and shake your hand after the fight. But right now, my whole mindset is in war mode, destruction, and trying to come to his hometown and disappoint him and his family.
Just when Errol Spence Jr. shifted from a calm comeback mentality into full war mode, the arrival of Ronnie Shields changed the entire atmosphere again. Suddenly, everything felt less emotional and far more calculated, as if the chaos had finally been organized into a clear strategy. Shields doesn't rely on loud speeches or dramatic energy. He carries quiet confidence and certainty. When he says, "That's why I'm here," it sounds less like an introduction and more like a declaration of purpose. It also became obvious this partnership wasn't rushed. Spence traveled to Houston, spent time observing how Shields teaches, communicates, and corrects mistakes, and eventually realized the chemistry was right. And once Shields began discussing the jab, the importance of the partnership became even clearer. Spence already possessed one of the sharpest and most punishing jabs in boxing, but pairing that weapon with a trainer known for refining exactly that skill doesn't feel like a simple adjustment, it feels like a complete upgrade.